Testimonies, where real stories reveal the unseen battle between light and darkness. I'm your host, Thomas Jones, better known as the Woke Prophet. Every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we dive into powerful experiences that will challenge and inspire you. Sit back, listen closely, and let's get into tonight's episode. Today we have a special guest, everyone, and I will allow her to introduce herself.
Okay. Well, my name is Michelle Burkhard. I live in Detroit, Michigan, for those who are familiar with that place. Let's see, a little bit about my background. My professional background, I was a teacher and then a school administrator, and I've done a lot in professional development and speaking and things like that. But on the woo-woo side of things, um, uh, just under 17 years ago, I was blessed with the experience of having a stroke. And through that, I actually had a couple death experiences. And since then, some spiritual gifts have really been gifted me over time, just spontaneously without me knowing them. And one of them is I experience angels daily. And so it's taken a lot to work out the logical side of my life along with the woo-woo side. And I feel like I'm in a pretty good space there. So I still love to do my very logical work where I help people learn and grow. But the angels come with me wherever I am. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So a lot of people don't understand the term woo-woo. So can you help them to understand exactly what that means?
Yeah, so woo-woo is kind of a catch-all term for spiritual things, oftentimes spiritual things that are very mysterious, mystical. That's where that term comes from. So, not really understanding, maybe. Logical things tend to be labeled and conceptualized and defined. Woo-woo is kind of out of the box. We're not real sure. And so when we're talking about angels, it's very experiential. Your experience might differ than mine. Doesn't make either experience right or wrong. It just is. And so the woo-woo things are very hard to pin down. But yet, I think that's where a lot of life is.
Okay. Well, they would definitely say that I'm woo-woo. They'll probably
Yes.
sing the song, Can you woo-woo-woo? You heard that song?
Yes. Yep.
They definitely say that about me with all the stuff I got that's happening in my life. So can you take us back how it all started, how it all began? So let's just touch on the death experiences first. Can you
Yeah.
share some of that with us?
Sure. So, I grew up actually in a very traditional, very religious family, and so even so much as to, I remember getting in trouble one time when I was in high school because my mom found out I listened to the oldies station and I wasn't supposed to listen to music with words.
Mhm.
Right. So like a very strict background. So the having a spiritual experience wasn't really allowed, if I'll say it that way. And so I was pregnant with my daughter, my youngest. She just turned 17, and went through an emergency C-section. She and I both died in that experience, but we're back. We're together. We're besties in this life. In that first experience, I had what many people talk about when they die. You could explain what was happening in the room. I could tell you what I was feeling. I had this experience. My mom had passed away many months before, and so I was able to have a conversation with her. And then when I came back into this life, like, whew, that was hard. I had experienced that pure peace, and I, it wasn't like I didn't want to live. It was different. Everything was different. Um, and then almost a year later, I ended up just a normal Tuesday, I believe it was, and ended up having a stroke very early in my life. And um, during that time, there were two times during that day where I died, and I had different experiences. So the second one was much more of a life review experience, like a lot of people talk about. But one of the things that I noticed during that experience was, yes, I was reviewing all of the moments that went through my life, but from the perspective of almost how other people were feeling. And so, I had some early resilient opportunities in my life. And so there were some people that did some not so nice things. And during that review, I felt their feelings. I heard their thoughts. I actually, came out of that experience and wondered why did more bad things not happen? Total shift in my perspective. Much easier to have compassion and forgiveness and let it all go and just say, I don't need to deal with that anymore. I'm good. Um, and so those experiences really changed me as a person. That's actually what most people said. You're completely different than you were. And yeah, I absolutely. And so the rest of my life has really been lived in more of an open, free, accepting kind of way than I was before. And then it was maybe 5 years or so after that was when the spiritual gifts started happening, which totally blew me out of the water. Didn't know what was going on. But thankfully, I had some spiritual mentors that were able to help me understand what was going on.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
you did mention when you passed the first time, so you said you had a conversation with your mother. So
Yeah.
when you saw your mother, so did she look like like a normal person? Was she transparent? Like how did she
Yeah.
look? And did,
So
and when you communicated with her, was it more like a um like mind to mind type situation, or was you actually like moving your lips and talking, or was it like
Yeah, so I remember kind of coming into this. I always say it's a room, but it wasn't really a room. It was kind of just this place. It had this like a deeper kind of comforting maroon color in this place. And my mom was there in a chair, and I had lost a child before then. She was holding my child, and I was talking to her as if it was just human to human, but she was a younger version of herself. What I assume was like maybe the happiest time in her life. That was the form that she took. I just knew it was my mom. And at one point, she said, my husband's name was Josh. She said, "Are you really going to leave those three children down there all alone with him?" And I was like, "That's definitely my mom." But she had a lot to say about, her not failures, because I don't see him as that, but she said, I didn't know what I know now. I didn't understand. I didn't see. I wish I could have done better for you. And so it was this very healing moment that we had. But yeah, and it's hard to answer that question because looking back, I don't know for sure if it was like humans or if it was like you were having the experience and you just knew. And of course, time was really weird. So, um, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
With the life review, because I've heard
Yeah.
people talk about this on multiple occasions too. So was it like a movie screen that you were seeing different things or
Yeah.
how?
So the first part about what happened was, I mean, I'll just to let you all know, I went to this very small regional hospital that didn't really know what to do with me. And so they put me in this back room, kind of waiting to figure out what to do with me. And then when I actually woke up, I was like, nurse sitting on me in the trauma center, that kind of thing. So I don't know how long that one was, but when I passed, it was like I was in this tube. I don't know how to really explain it, going somewhere. And again, we went into this place that wasn't really a room, but there were what seemed to me like millions of lights, and they all somehow were different. And then in the middle of this place was this big column, and the column was like almost silver, translucent, and there was kind of a door on there. And every now and then, all of the lights would get really excited, and I would look to the door, and there was, this other light that was coming out of the door, and then they would go in this little tube and go somewhere, and somebody else would kind of take their turn. Um, and I sensed that these were all the other souls, I guess you could say, that were there waiting for their turn. It seemed like I wasn't there very long, but also that I was there a really long time. And so at some point, I just knew it was my turn. I went through this door. One of the angels that I had kind of been experiencing, I know now when I was a child, was there to greet me. And I was in, I don't know how else to explain it, like a control room.
Hmm.
Like lots of different TV screens were there. And he said, we're going to do the life review now. Would you like to do that? And I was like, well, of course, that's why we're here. Let's do it. And then at one point, the life review was done, and it was a very humbling experience. And then he said, well, I have one more thing for you. And I said, okay, well, what is that? And he said, would you like to see how you came into this world? And I said, well, yeah, that would be great. And so he showed what I kind of jokingly call people or tell people that like the cosmic drive-through of life.
Hmm.
Showed all these options on the screen. So, would you like to be a male or a female? Would you like to live in the United States? Like all of these different options. And then, kind of like a choose your own adventure book said, these are the things that are going to happen in your life that are guarantees.
Hmm.
These are all of the things that are eventualities, depending on the choices that you make. And then that was it. Kind of like go out the door, go on your merry way. And so I went out the door, and all the other souls were like, "Yay, Michelle!" Went down in my tube, and then yeah, came back, and there's a nurse sitting on my chest trying to get me to wake up, and back to being human again.
So would you say that the average person, the way the average person thinks and what we've been taught, so would you think, well, let me rearrange that question. So since you had that experience, like how do you feel? Of course, it's just your opinion. How do you feel about like heaven and hell? Do you think that it's a real place? Do you think it's different? Because it seems like as I talk to more and more people, the things that we're being taught, it seems like it is not the way that we think. It seems like things are totally different.
Yeah. The in my experience, as time goes on, I feel like humans have a unique way of creating hell on this earth, almost to convince themselves that we don't want to be here, we want to be in heaven.
Hmm.
And they don't understand that they're really here to have the full, deep human experience and to bring heaven onto earth. That's our beautiful opportunity here. And so I think it's another way for humans also like to kind of, how do I say this nicely? Um, we like to blame and not take accountability for ourselves. And so it's a lot easier to make up stories of this heaven and hell dichotomy, to control, manipulate, that kind of thing. And that's not the experience that not only I have had, but talking with the angels, talking with people who have passed on, it's just not the experience I have. So.
Right, right. Let me ask you this because I've heard several people say this. So when you pass, most people tell me that they see themselves float out of the body. It's almost like it's the spirit that floats up to like the ceiling and they can see themselves, but they always say that they can see from all of these different angles. Did you
Yeah.
experience any of that?
I did the first time. So I was in the operating room. I was able to float above my body. I saw that there were three doctors in the room, and at the time of the surgery, there were only two. And so I was able to tell my doctor, "Oh, Doctor So and so also came in to assist you, and you had the fourth person from your practice that was on the phone, which was not in the medical records." And so there were lots of details I was able to it kind of freaked her out because she definitely was not into any of this. She's like, you shouldn't know any of that. And I said, but I was there. Literally, I was there. I saw it. I heard what you said. Um, they were all like they were convinced that I was not coming back. But yeah, I saw all of that. I could tell you where the machinery was put. I could actually tell you where my husband was. At the time, he was put into a room and he was all by himself for almost 4 hours. Nobody went to talk to him, and I was able to tell people, "Hey, you should have talked to him." And they're like, "How do you even know that he was there?"
Right.
So yeah, I saw it all until I didn't, until I was in the room with my mom, and then I had no recollection of anything that was going on in that room. Um, and I gotta say, I'm a big fan of dying. I'm only gonna do it one more time, and it's not gonna be for a long time. I'm not suicidal or anything, but the level of peace
Mm-hmm.
and comfort There is nothing on this earth like that feeling. Like I'm getting teary-eyed right now because
Right.
sometimes life gets a little heavy.
Yeah, yeah,
And those are the moments that I go back to know that's waiting for me at the right time. That is waiting for me.
right,
And so when people say that they fear death, I totally get that, but also you don't have to. It's
right,
a beautiful thing.
right. Okay. Now, when you came back in your body, because this is something that I also hear a lot too. People say, "Oh, I was slammed back in my body," or
I
"it hit
was.
hard." Was that your case?
Every time. The first time it was like from 10 stories up and landing flat on my back on that table. The other two were very similar. I think that was the hardest part was the coming back and then this like disorientation coming back into my body. Like I did not feel comfortable in my body at all for a long time. Thankfully, each one of these was a medical thing, so I had some time I could rest. I didn't have to like go back and be in life. But it was also very challenging because I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to reflect on it, and people were freaking out. Like they literally could not. They would entertain it for a little bit,
Mhm.
but then they couldn't. And I think that they were all just really scared because they were going to lose me. And then once I started talking about it, that confirmed their suspicions. And so I learned to keep my mouth shut for a while until I found some people who also had similar experiences. And then that was helpful for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you came back in your body, you opened
Yep.
your eyes, you started talking,
Yep.
and you started telling the nurses, you told the doctor as well that you
Yeah.
could
Hmm.
see and hear. So especially with the doctors, because I know how to get. So when you told them, "Hey, I could see everything, I could hear everything," like what was the reaction from the doctors?
So the doctor got really quiet, and for my doctor, that is highly unusual. And so I knew it was really hitting her. Also during that time, for whatever reason, myself and my daughter, we were the only two on the whole ward. There were no other babies for almost 2 days. Nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there was a lot of like attention on us. There was a lot of extra time. And so she would come quite often to visit and spend all that time. Every time she came back in the room, she had a different question. And it was very data and evidence related because she was trying to figure it out. And then she'd say something like, well, weird things can happen when you lose oxygen and, that kind of thing. And I just let her say, okay, that's fine.
Hmm.
And I just, whatever reasoning you have to come up with, I understand.
Right, right. I've also seen people that, let's just say they're in a hospital, something happens and they pass. But something that I noticed that they will start reaching, right? They'll
Yeah.
start reaching for something. So I always wondered, are they seeing a spirit? Are they seeing an angel? Is someone
Yeah.
trying to grab their hand? Did you experience any of that, like reaching
I
or?
I did the second and the third time. I definitely was. I felt escorted. And I've done a lot of work with people who are at the end of their life, and this is often something that I see with them. Usually, it's someone who has passed on, so that was significant to them, or a parent or something like that, or an angel, depending on what they need in that moment. But yeah, they're definitely reaching for something. Also, cats always know when someone's getting ready to pass,
Mhm.
period. Full stop. Cats can see in the spirit realm everything. And so I love that nursing homes actually set up their little cats and they pay attention to who the cats are paying attention to because they know, okay, this one's gonna go soon.
So do you think it's the dogs too, or just the cats?
Dogs are a fickle beast.
Right.
Dogs, it depends on their personality. I think they can, but oftentimes dogs are really, really tuned to their people.
Mhm.
Cats don't care about you, really. I mean, they do to a certain level, but they're a little more aloof and connected with the spiritual.
Right, right. Now, earlier, I know you said that when you were younger, that it was an angel that you were dealing with or angel that you were talking to.
Yeah, I,
Around,
I
around what
remember
age?
I remember very distinctly one of my first memories was around the age of 2, almost 3. And I was going through something that was very, very challenging and difficult that we won't talk about here. But I remember this like it was a light, but it was also this like being. And I could never describe it because, you don't know when you're 2 or 3.
Hmm.
But I remember whenever I would think about that memory, that was the thing that would be first and foremost. And so when I did my life review, I actually asked to see that again. And I asked for some clarification. What was going on here? And they said, oh, yes, well, you've had various different guardians that have come and wanted to be your helper. So that was my grandfather's father, who I never met, who decided that he wanted to be my helper in those moments and provide that very protective kind of energy for me. And then at a certain point, he kind of came and he said, "You don't need me anymore. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad that I got to be here with you." And so that was just beautiful. Like, I feel like I have never been alone, even in some of the loneliest times that I've ever had.
Wow. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely amazing.
Yeah.
So well, being younger, when you were seeing these angels, so how did they appear to you? And I mean, like when I see them, for the most part, I see them in orbs. I see them in energy
Yeah.
form. But
I
I've
would say when
also,
I was younger, that's what it was. It was more orbs or light or sometimes just a presence.
Mhm.
I've seen the full spectrum since then, but yeah, when I was a kid, it was just that kind of like I do remember certain times being led probably out of, dangerous situations I got myself into. But yeah, it's changed over time.
Okay. And I want to kind of go back for a second because I really think this is important because I know you talked about when you passed, you felt peace. Now, when
Yeah.
I work with people, especially back in the past, I don't do it much anymore, but people will come to me and they would be very depressed. Some will be suicidal because they lost a parent. So at one point, I could kind of connect to the loved one, talk to them. And one thing that I continuously kept hearing all the time they would say, no matter how bad the accident or how they died, or was a motorcycle accident and the person got decapitated, any of that. One thing that they always told me was they didn't feel any pain at all. So there was just no pain and they were at peace. So it's just interesting just to hear you say like, hey, it's just real peaceful.
Absolutely. And then also on the other side, there's a ton of clarity.
Mhm.
So again, you're doing this life review thing, but also, you're in unconditional love. You see everything and you see how that was your classroom and you were learning and you did your very best. And so oftentimes I'll have folks who, we're connecting with that loved one who's passed away and they're apologizing, but not with regret, as in like I did things bad or wrong. I wish I could have done better for you, but I'm so happy with what I did. And so sometimes that kind of connection can give someone here as a human a little bit more peace that you are okay, you're in a good place, you're in a much better place. I always say I have a much better relationship with my mom now than I ever did.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
for anyone that's out there struggling, if you've lost someone that you love, they're okay, and just like she said, it's a very peaceful, it's
Absolutely.
peaceful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tend to think that, coming into this world and being born, think about all the joy, right, that people have. Even in some of the toughest circumstances, you're still happy that the baby's born, like they're here, and that's true, but take that times 100 or 1,000, and that's what happens to you and all your loved ones on the other side when you pass.
Mm, yeah, incredible. So let's talk a little bit about your gifts. So you you passed in the hospital. This was twice. So you came back. So after you came back, so did you return? Was everything like normal once you came back? Did things start to open up? Was it like a slow transition and the gifts open up, or was it like immediately?
So it was a couple years of me I was doing life differently. I was making different choices. Um, but I think I was just trying to not forget, but I couldn't quite integrate it into my life because nobody wanted to talk about it. And so I felt like here's this thing that's like so important to me, but nobody wants to have anything to do with it. So I was trying to ignore it. And then at one point, this was maybe a year and a half before everything shut down with COVID. Um, I just started having these experiences and I had no clue what they were. So, angels were showing up, here in the grocery store and they're just showing up because, that's where all the important spiritual things happen, right? Right there in the produce aisle.
Right.
Um, or like going out to the mailbox and all of a sudden just being greeted by all of these people who had passed, and you're like, what's happening? I'm just getting the mail, right? And so the gifts started to come on. Once the door was open, it was almost like whatever you can handle, Michelle, we're just going to throw at you. And that's why I say I was really, really happy to find somebody who is a bit of a spiritual mentor who could say, oh, Michelle, now you know how to do that. And I was like, oh, what is that? And she's like, well, if you want, here's a book. And then she taught me about boundaries, because oftentimes that's the scary thing about these gifts. Um, you don't really know what's happening and you feel like you're kind of being assaulted in some way. But we do have boundaries. We have free choice and control. I'll give you a great example. There was one day I was in my office and I was finishing up my presentation. I was getting ready to defend my dissertation. So I do have a PhD. See, that's the logical side of me. So
Okay.
I'm working on my paper, doing my thing, and I look up and there's like a line of people who have passed, and they're all people connected to my clients. They're like, we have messages. And I said, I'm busy. Come back in an hour. And they
Okay.
did. They just left and I continued my work and they came and I said, all right, what's the message? And then I was able to go and give that to my clients. And so it's become this very seamless part of my life.
Mhm.
But it was a rocky road there for a little bit.
Okay. So you're also able to see people that are past now
Yes.
since you passed.
Yep.
Okay. And when you see them, are you seeing them as a solid figure, or how do you see them?
Um, it's interesting. I see the people who have passed as solid, but not solid like human. Because sometimes I'll actually be someplace and someone who is alive, their energy will come
Mhm.
and they're not solid when they come, which is how I know that they're still alive because it kind of freaked me out. I was doing an event one time, and all of the fathers of people who were at this event kind of came, and they wanted to share this like really fatherly, encouraging message for everybody. But my dad was there, and I was like, "Hey, I just want to confirm you're still alive, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." So yes, it is in a solid form. Um, Sometimes they choose like what their favorite human form was. Oftentimes, I'm seeing people at a much younger age, um, especially if something happened in their lifetime, if they had dementia or something like that. They typically choose a time where they were a little bit more happier in life as their form. But yeah, definitely seeing them. I don't feel people who have passed on. They don't have like an actual form that way,
Okay.
but I can see and talk to them.
Okay. So has things changed since when you were younger to now in terms of the way you see the angels now? So do they
Yeah.
still appear the same way, or is it different now?
There are some that appear that way, but I would say for the most part, not. They definitely have a different form. There's different ones. So I see, usually when I'm seeing angels, let's say I'm working with a client, there's usually a group of angels that are, I call them your common team. There's 22 of them that kind of just show up for all people. And each one of them has a different form. So, for example, the law or the angel of process. So he's one of the most logical angels. He can fix anything. He is often seen to me having books and like blueprints and scrolls and various different things. So when he has a message, it's really about something that needs fixing. He's also the angel I call when my printer goes wacky. He can always help me figure that out. But then there's the angel of creative word. So her job
Mhm.
is to take your words and magnify them. That's
Okay.
why it's very important about the words that you use.
Mhm.
And so she doesn't really have a form. She's this like flowy, kind of rainbowy. Um, but when she comes, it's less about what you're seeing. It's the senses get a little weird sometimes. So she has a form that's more about the sound.
Hmm.
So I don't know how to explain this sound because I've never heard it in real life. There's a certain sound that she has when she comes.
Okay.
And so that's a little one that's a little hard to understand. But sometimes the angels will come and they're like in human like jeans. I'm like, hey, how you doing? What's going on over there? Sometimes they're in other forms, but it all depends on who I'm working with, how they need to see the angel. The angel will turn into whatever that person needs.
Okay. All right. So the more and more I listen to you and I listen to your story, it makes me feel like in a spiritual awakening, like you're going through or been through a spiritual awakening. And something that I noticed that it seems like once a person is injured, because that's how it was for me too. You get injured, then boom, these gifts open up from the injury and through the spiritual awakening. You also said female. That's something I noticed. You said a female angel.
Yeah.
So it is, so you've seen females and males?
Yeah, so there are some that are definitely in the masculine, and some who are definitely in the feminine. Like I will put the angel of creative word more in the feminine kind
Mm,
of quality. Some of the archangels, they're definitely that masculine presence, Archangel Michael and Gabriel and Raphael. But then there are some angels that have no gender whatsoever.
mhm.
So that's just not a part of who they are, or they can be very fluid back and forth depending. Um, yeah.
Okay. So are they like, do you have, should I say like a main team or some main angels that you work with all the time, or is it just always different angels just switching out?
Yeah, I would say, there's a couple archangels that I work with quite frequently, especially when I go do events. They kind of hold down the energy, if you would. So Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, that's kind of my main team. But then there's a group of 22 angels that are kind of present all the time. And they actually form this system. So it's very much related to the chakras, the levels of awareness, the rites and passages in the Christian church. They form this system, and I've noticed that there are people who they might have two, three, four of these angels that they're really working with in this lifetime because that's the thing that they're trying to learn.
Mhm.
Like for me, order and harmony. Discernment and cycles and solutions. So, really stepping into my own power and letting the authorities go and just say, you're not the boss of me. I say that, with all the love in my heart, but you're not the boss of me. I'm not the boss of me. I got another boss out here that's kind of running the show, and I get to partner with that boss, but I'm no longer beholden to a lot of the authority figures that I was before, because yeah, I've seen a lot about those authority figures, and I'm like, yeah, no, that's not something I want to be a part of.
Right, right. So when these angels are around you, do you detect, do you have like a feeling? Is it like a scent, a special scent, or, anything that can identify? So if you were blindfolded and let's just say if you was just lying down with your eyes closed and
Yeah.
one of them was standing behind you, is it a thing that you can sense them from the smell or you just are just annoying or?
It depends on the angel, and what's being shared. I can have all of those for sure. Guaranteed, if I close my eyes, I'm going to see all kinds of stuff. I see much more in the spirit realm with my eyes closed, than I do with my eyes open. Um, I can say this that oftentimes, especially when I'm working with another person, angels will come in and they'll kind of give me some information. They're not telling that life story of that person or anything, but sometimes they'll give me some info where they'll say, hey, just so you know, you need to be aware of this, or you might want to ask this question, that kind of thing. For the most part, it's just helping me to interact with this person in a positive way. But sometimes they will tell me things, and they'll say, we need you to step in here. And there's this feeling that I get of like, I'm not a person that likes to interrupt people. I like to honor all people. But every now and then there's a message that the angels are like, no, don't let them talk anymore. Step in and tell them this thing. Every single time it's been almost life-changing for that person. And then there's some stuff that I just call the stupid stuff. Like I was at a restaurant one time finishing lunch, and I was told by one of the angels to go tell this lady that her shoes were ugly. And I was like, no, I will not. I will not do that. And then I like went into the bathroom and like trying to settle my check and like arguing the whole time. Like, I will not do that. And finally, like, you have to. And I was like, okay, fine.
Mhm.
So, think about that conversation, right? Going over and saying, hey, ladies, there were two of them. Ended up being sisters. They had just gone shopping. The one sister had bought shoes and she was joking. The other one was very religious and she said, something about her shoes, and she's like, "Well, if there is a God, then he'll have to tell me if my shoes are ugly or not."
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so I went and I said, "Hey, my name is Michelle. You don't know me. This is gonna sound really weird and off, but like your shoes are ugly."
Right.
And so then of course there was this whole exchange and yeah, that's what I call the stupid stuff. It's not stupid. It's very, very important, but it
Right.
seems stupid from the human perspective.
Right. I know she was shocked when you came over and you delivered that message.
I don't know which of the three of us were more shocked, to be honest.
Right. So have you ever asked the angels where they live? Have you ever asked them that, or have
They
they ever
are
shown you?
everywhere. They're everywhere all the time. That's just who they are. They have said that there is a hierarchy. Hierarchy just means an order. They're a solid team. They said, of course, we have an order. We have things that we're doing. But they also have communicated to me that we as humans are doing a lot in the spiritual realm with angels when we're sleeping.
Hmm.
Don't understand how much we are. So, angels, there's only a few angels who've actually been humans. Most angels have not. So, they don't have an understanding of what it's like to be a human, especially emotions. Because sometimes we'll get all in our emotions. They're like, what are you talking about? So, what? Well, it's a thing. They also don't understand time. So I always caution people never ever trust an angel when they say the word soon, because to them it could be three
Right.
minutes or
Right.
300 years. So you got to
Definitely
be real,
about
real
that.
clear. And so what we do when we're sleeping is we actually communicate with angels and tell them about our experiences of the day. And this is what I experienced. This is how I felt. And so we're kind of training our angel team to know what it's like to be human so that the angels can actually help humans in general in whatever we're working on. So we are an integral part of the angel team and vice versa. So it's not like we're separate. We're all together. We just don't realize how closely associated we are.
That's true.
Hmm.
You're definitely right about that time because I'm telling you, I've been told that so many times, soon, 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 and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
There's only a few things that I'll push angels on, and that's one every time. I'm like, listen, people do not understand that. So you got to be real clear with me on that.
right, right. So, do you believe that they are religious or are they spiritual or
I believe that there is a system that's set up for unconditional love and freedom.
okay, okay. Mhm.
And, people will often ask me, well, Michelle, how do you discern? How do you know that what the angels are saying are true? And I said, that's important. You need to have a system for yourself. And I said, it's not around any sort of religious or moral kind of thing. It is about unconditional love and freedom. And so if that angel is coming and talking and it hits both of those things and for all involved,
Mhm.
that's why the stupid stuff sounds stupid. Like, how is telling this lady her shoes are ugly going to give her love and freedom?
Mhm.
Well, I couldn't see that.
Right.
And so that's when the angels were like, you can't see it, but we need you to do this. So go tell her. But for the most part, I can see that. I can interpret that and discern and say, oh yeah, this is definitely going to be about this person. This is what they need in order to have that sense of love and freedom.
Okay. Now, of course, I know you're around the positive ones, but have the dark angels ever tried to come around? Have they tried to come in with messages, or have they tried to pretend that they were an angel of the light? Because I know how it is. This stuff is tricky.
So I will say this from this perspective. This is where humans, we use our level of judgment instead of discernment. So for me, I've had some of those moments where I was kind of freaked out a little bit. Um, until I really started asking questions and understanding what was happening. So I'll give you an example. Several years ago, I was in a relationship that was very, very important to me. This man and I were going to get married. And long story short, he was killed in a car accident. And it was very, very traumatic for me. And so I had 3 days where I was in my home by myself, just kind of laying on the living room floor. I couldn't do anything else. That's it. No, no eating, no sleeping, nothing. Just 3 days, and just being with his energy after he passed. That was really important to me. But during that time, I had the lowest of lows and the highest of highs.
Mm,
So in one moment, it's that grief that's so heavy. And I'm sure your listeners, if you've gone through that, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The kind where you're like, I can't take another breath.
right.
I'm going to die right now. And then on the like a hair breadth away from that was this I am space, this like incredible joy, incredible amount of gratitude and like peace,
Hmm.
and then the heaviness, and then the peace and the heaviness. And during this time, I had one angel that came with me the whole 3 days. And it was a dark angel that some people would call. This angel taught me more about death and destruction and all of the things that we like to think of as dark and how beautiful they are. Showed me experiences like, Michelle, there is no life that happens outside of darkness. You
Hmm.
can't grow a seed in the full light. You got to have some dark of the soil. You can't grow a baby outside of the womb. The womb is dark and
Right.
right. And so like showing me all of these, the stars and the depths of the sea and all of those experiences. And since then, I have had dark angels that have come with beautiful messages of freedom and unconditional love. But
Hmm.
oftentimes our brains look at them as, oh no, that's not good. That's not good.
Hmm.
I understand that. It's hard to take in that message sometimes. I personally have not experienced what you described.
Okay.
I can see how other people might have had that experience.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you say unconditional love, can you kind of break it down so people understand? And I know you say these angels, they have unconditional love. So what would be your definition of unconditional love from these angels?
So I'll give you an example. Everybody has an angel of temptation, and lots of people. I keep asking the angel, "Can we change your name?" Because people don't understand that. You talk about it that way, but the it's not temptation like we think. He's our teacher angel,
Hmm.
so he's kind of got your curriculum for life. He knows exactly what lesson you're on, what you're trying to learn. He knows how many times you're failing. Right? People are like, "Oh man, I didn't get that one," and
Hmm.
that angel is like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. What did you learn though? And he keeps track of all your learning. You can fail a million times. He
Hmm.
does not care. You're still putting in the time and the effort. You're still doing the thing. So he is there with incredible amount of patience and support for you. Um, and so that's often what I think of with unconditional love. Also, this idea, a lot of people don't understand how loved you truly are. And the reason is because we're humans and we have these relationships amongst humans. And we sometimes think that, the kinds of relationships that I have with humans, like I'm loved or I'm not loved, right? That we are loved way more than we will ever know until you're on the other side.
Right.
And the angels have set up the system. You cannot fail. It looks like it to you because that's how you're judging it. You
Mhm.
cannot fail. Success is guaranteed. You just have to keep breathing. They are there. You're never alone. You're always supported. And that's what I think about with unconditional love. And also, sometimes you need a swift kick in the butt.
Hmm.
and you'll get that too.
So, do you believe that this is a school for us to learn, and the angels are here to guide us, or do you see it another way?
I believe that this is, that we have multiple lifetimes. I know this just from my own experience and working with other people. I truly believe that this is a classroom and also just a laboratory. We get to decide what experiences we want to have. That's why I tell people all the time, just experiment. Don't get worked up in, what you're trying to create. Just experiment. Have fun with it.
Mhm.
It's not about the destination or the results. That's what I hear from a lot of people. One of the things as I'm talking to more spiritual communities, there's this understanding, I don't quite know where it's come from, that you can kind of rank your spiritual enlightenment based on what experiences or results you're having here in this life. Like somehow, if you go out and you are blessed with, the abundance of money, that you are somehow more spiritual. Like there's no more here. You just are spiritual, period.
Mhm.
There's no rankings, there's no levels. Every single person is spiritual, period. Um, and if you focus just on money, that's like the kindergarten of abundance.
Mhm.
You've missed the point.
Right.
If you can't have abundance in life in all of these different ways without money, like you've missed the point. We are here to have experiences. Some of us have designed, like we've gone to the drive-through of life. We have designed experiences. Now, this one's going to hurt some people, so just take a breath, okay? Some of us have designed experiences in this lifetime so that we can learn, so that we can develop, so that we can get to the other side of that learning and developing.
Mhm.
And I know that as I'm saying that, because people often have that response of, I didn't ask for this bad thing to happen. This was not my fault. I get it.
Mhm.
Get it. I totally get it. Been there, done that. I promise you. I've had the lifetime. I've had more, let's say, bad stuff happen in my early lifetime than most people have had in their whole lifetime. I get it.
Mhm.
None of that I chose. None of that I attracted. None of that was my fault. And having gone through the life review, I'm so incredibly grateful for those experiences and the awareness I have on the other side. So you may not have that awareness in this lifetime. I guarantee you it's coming, and you're going to be grateful too. It's just when you're going to get there.
Mhm. So, with the multiple lives, so do you believe that it's all happening at once, or do you believe it's like a past, present, future? Like from your
Uh,
experiences, what have you?
From my experience, I believe it's all happening at once. We live in a paradoxical universe where all of the things are happening. We live in oneness, but they're all happening now. And I also believe that we have human brains and we try to understand. And so it's easier to say past, present, future than it is to say it's all happening now.
Hmm.
And then honestly, we could go down that bunny road or bunny trail and then get to the end and then just go, so what? Right? Then like most things in the spiritual realm, so what? And then you get to the point where you're like, okay, well, now it's time to, change the laundry, get back to being human, right?
Right, right, yeah, yeah. And that, like, when you were speaking about the abundance, again, so true because even with my walk, they completely just shut down everything financially. And I'm like looking like, what is going
Yep.
on? And
Yep.
and I'm going through these fights. I'm like, hey, I still got bills to pay. And they're like, focus on your work. Don't worry about this money. Don't worry. So it's real. I don't like how it feels, but they will shut it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I often hear from people, that they're even people who are making money and they're doing well. Um, I think that's why there is a tendency to say, I'm more spiritual than other people, I'm more blessed, I'm more abundant than other people, which is really just ego speaking. But they don't realize yes and no. You are having this experience that doesn't make you more spiritual than anybody else. Also, this idea of not having money doesn't make you more spiritual than anybody else. right? So there's that kind of religious idea that, we're if we're poor, then we're somehow, better off than others. No, that's just an experience.
Hmm.
If you want to have that experience, own it. If
Right.
you want to say, hey, I want to go and buy a yacht, go make the money and buy a yacht. Have joy in your heart and look at, hey, how can I help other people with my yacht? That's awesome. I love that for you. But don't now go and judge everybody else because they don't have a yacht.
Right. 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 Now, I got a question I want to ask, and maybe you know, maybe Dave told you this, but this is kind of how I feel and what I've gathered. When we come in, like I tell people, we choose our mothers, well, we choose our parents. Have they shown you anything with us choosing our parents, choosing our soul group, choosing the people that we're going to?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oftentimes I'm working with clients, and it's funny because I'll get an intuition that like, wait a minute, there's a connection with another client, that they don't even know. And I realize that they're like in a soul family and I'm supposed to be the connector of them. And that's always fun. But I was shown that when I came into this lifetime, I'm a twin, an identical twin. And so when I was shown this drive through of life, I was told, "Hey, if you want to go back to your life now, you can. Like you can jump in the little tube and go and be with your twin sister here, or you can wait." And they told me a certain number of years, like the everything will line up. You'll go at that point, and then you'll still be able to kind of go with the plan that we have. And of course, we humans, we're brave. We're just like, yeah, let's go now. Let's do it.
Hmm.
And so I was kind of a I don't know how to say this, but a passenger in my sister's life, really. I just got to come in, and that's the very first experience I remember my mom telling me about in the hospital was, they put us in these two bassinets, and I was over in the corner all by myself and just kind of enjoying myself, and my sister was, having some problems, and that's kind of how our life went. Like I always felt like I was more alone. And I realize now it's because I wasn't supposed to be as connected to that family per se, but I was absolutely supposed to come in at that time and have those experiences.
Right, right. Yeah, it makes sense. So, since you've been with these angels, do you notice that each angel has like their own distinct personality, or are they kind of like the same? You're just unconditional love, or are they different? Like Michael works differently from Raphael, or
Yeah, they definitely have patterns. And then sometimes there's what I call work mode and just being mode. So for example, with Michael and Gabriel, that I love to just sit and have conversations with them. It's like I can have an intelligent conversation about science and, various different things. But then when I'm at an event and they're holding down the energy, there's it's like work mode. Like, okay, I'm going to leave you alone, do your thing.
Mhm,
The angel of courage is one of those that I often have a lot of conversations with, but he loves to be told what to do.
mhm,
Not in a mean way, but like his sole job as the angel of courage is for us to speak up about what we want.
mhm,
It's like he can't help us. Once we tell him this is what I want, he is, and I tell him all this all the time. You are by law required to help me with this now. So I
right.
want this,
Mhm,
and this is why, and like we need to do this. Can you help me? And he loves it. He just like chuckles and does his thing. But oftentimes when I'm doing a reading and someone is not stepping into their own responsibility and authority,
mhm,
he will sit over in the corner and he's sulking. And he's just kind of bored and he's like, I don't have anything to do. They're not telling me how to help. And I often tell people our job, the angels want to help us, but we also have free will. So you need to open your mouth, you need to ask, you need to say something. Um, but you don't have to say a lot of things. I've had moments where I was really, really struggling, and all I could do was whisper help. And
mhm.
the angel of creative word was able to come and take that and show me the ripples of all of these ways that they were going out and they were bringing people to me to help me in that moment. And so it is a partnership. And yeah, they do change. I wouldn't say they have personalities, but they definitely have patterns.
Okay, okay. Have you ever asked them, because of course we hear this term all the time, what exactly an earth angel is? Because people have different definition. Some people say, "Oh, is this an angel that's on earth?" So, is an earth angel? Would you say that is a person that, let's just say that they were the angel and they're just being reincarnated back on earth, or is just the earth angel just a person just sent here to help, and it's just you know just something that
I
was help?
don't know. I'll be honest, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of spiritual people talk about that I've not had experience with. I'm not going to say it does or doesn't happen. I personally haven't had that experience. Sometimes people, I remember this one lady talking to me and saying, "Oh, this person is a transplant." Like, they came into somebody else's body and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, that's one way to kind of describe what you think might be happening. And then when I asked the angels about it, I was like, what's going on here? Well, the person had some physical things that were happening that were changing them as a person. And it wasn't necessarily them being a transplant or being a pod person or whatever people want to talk about. It was they were literally being transformed in who they were, and so they look at them as angels when in reality they're having this really big spiritual kind of change. And it's easier to call them an angel than it is to call them a transformed human.
Okay, all right. So I'm curious, do you see any angels around me?
I do. So I see the angel of success on your right and the angel of imagination on your left.
Okay,
So
like
the
that.
angel of success is driven by you.
Okay,
So you get to define what success means for you.
okay, okay.
So this angel wants to help you with that, but is really waiting for you to give him the orders. The angel of imagination wants to be your
Just
partner
success.
in this.
Come on in there, Angel Success. I want to talk to him now so I don't forget. All right, go ahead.
Exactly. So the
Uh,
angel of imagination wants you to open up, open up far beyond what you could ever imagine success to be for you.
okay.
And once you work with the angel of imagination and you see that for yourself, the angel of success says, all right, once you open your mouth and you say this is what you want and you tell me, that's like pushing the save button.
Mhm.
And so he'll go on and he'll do the work. Now, you're going to have some integration time in your humanness. And so again, that time, right? So, don't take this message as like this is going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
But if you spend time with the angel of imagination and say, show me, like I would even get a notepad ready and carry that thing with you wherever you go because the angel of imagination wants to show you some things that you've never seen before. Don't take anything lightly that you're seeing or imagining right now. Anything that comes in a dream, anything that comes in the shower, or taking a long drive on a country road. You want to write down whatever comes to you, and then you take that back to the angel of success. Once you have said, yes, this is what I want,
Mhm.
you say, angel of success, this is it. This is our definition of success. Boom, done. And now we're literally just waiting for the next orders of what's next.
Okay. Sounds like a plan to me. I'm on it. I only do
Yeah.
it one time.
Yes.
So let me ask you this. So have they gave you any instructions on how to bring things to us faster? Let's just say if a person is looking for their soulmate, or if a person is trying to they want to be successful. Like, what steps do they take, or if just they want to buy the first house? It's a certain house that they want. Do they give you instructions on different things that you can do to bring this stuff in quicker, or to
Yeah.
manifest it, or
So we live in a cause and effect universe. That's the law of all laws is cause and effect. Now, the problem with humans is that we tend to think this cause is going to have this effect. We've been trained to think that way. The problem with that is that it's not this cause. It's like there's seven causes above that cause. And so there's always a reason why something is happening.
Mhm.
So people are like, "Oh, this is totally random." No, it's not. It's absolutely we live in a cause and effect, divine perfection and timing world. Sometimes people come and they're like, "I'm looking for my soulmate." That's awesome. Is your soulmate doing the work that they need to be ready when you want to get together? Because you can look for your soulmate all that you want, but if you find them before they're ready, I mean, you can eat a not cooked chocolate chip cookie and really enjoy it, but do you really want that in your soulmate?
Right.
Think about that, right? Also, it's great to manifest money in business and all that kind of stuff. Are you set up in such a way that you can receive that well?
Hmm.
So we're going through a new transition in our business. I run a international leadership and career development company. We've got almost 30 trainers in multiple countries.
Hmm.
We're getting ready to expand here in the next few months. I'm very excited about that. But I actually have a thing here right now that the angels gave me. It said, we need new rules to hold the revenue.
Hmm.
So in essence, the old process and system we had is not good enough. And so until my systems are ready to go and my team is all on the same page, that money is like ready and waiting. It's there. Those people are right there. And so it's my job to say, what do I need to do to be ready to receive that when it's time? And so sometimes a lot of people will focus on the manifestation, right? If I just think about my vision and I think about, and all of that is true for sure. But again, we have human things that we need to do. And so if you are a spender and you're trying to make money, chances are the universe is like, dude, I'm not going to give you water if it's going to go into a colander.
Hmm.
What do you need, right? Or if you're like, oh, I want health. Okay, the health fairy is not going to come and just wave her magic wand over you as you sit on your couch eating your chips and watching your TV.
Right. Right.
You're going to do to partner with the health, right?
Right.
Um, and keep in mind, we're all dealing with something in life. That's part of the human condition, the tension, right? We call it problems. It's really opportunities for growth. And so sometimes you're asking for health, and you may have a health condition that you're dealing with, and you're really trying to pray that thing away, when in reality, that's the very thing that's going to give you freedom for the other things that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we have a beautiful gift kind of like on our doorstep for us in our conditions right now, and we're not seeing it because we either choose not to open the gift or we just are like, yeah, but I want that over there. It's kind of like the birthday party that, you're a person who you don't know as an angel is bringing you the best gift of your life. And you're like, no, 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 I want that gift from this person because I know it's going to be really good. I didn't want my partner to die.
Hmm. Hmm.
I see how he needed to have that experience. That's a whole nother podcast, but
Right.
we were not supposed to be together. I thought we were.
Hmm.
As soon as he died and I had that experience, I knew we weren't. We weren't going to make it if we were. It
Right.
was the best gift possible. And so, do I want to be in a loving, healthy, mature relationship with a person? Absolutely. Am I ready for that? I don't know if I'm ready for it. What do I need to do to receive that? And also, please, universe, do not send that person to me until they are ready.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yep.
Now, I work with a lot of people, right? So I
Yeah.
teach people on how to fast, of course, to pray, just to speak positive
Yeah.
things all the time. Don't speak word curses against yourself, and just try to think positive. So people do that, but we still have people that say, okay, well, things are still hard. I'm praying, I'm fasting, I'm trying to be the best person. Like, why is it so tough? Why is it so hard?
Yeah.
Have the angels shown you anything with that? Like, people are working, trying to do their best, but it's like you keep hitting a brick wall.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because you're still focusing on what's wrong and not what's strong.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you can be positive, you can pray, you can do all those things, but you're still trying to put a deposit in the bank of life that I can get something good out of it, right? You're not really looking at like the angels tell me all the time, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. If I'm having any sort of area that's stuck, especially financially, um, the quickest, easiest way, if I want to make more money, I go buy somebody's coffee at McDonald's. I'll
Hmm.
go buy coffee for myself and say whatever they want back there. Guaranteed I'm going to get money come in the next 24 hours. I don't know why, just happens. If I want to make a client, if I'm having some stuckness in that area, I take time off.
Hmm.
every time I take time off, it's like the universe says, yes, now you are ready. Here you go. Let's make that happen. When I'm having, this is going to sound really crazy, but so I have been dealing with the condition of diabetes for a few years. This is the fifth time now we're this close to being off all medications. The fifth time in 15 years being off all medications. Doctors say you can't do that once. And I'm like, well, yeah, you can. And so when I get stuck, what I do is I go find my favorite Tim Hortons honey cruller donut.
Hmm.
And I come home and I take a small bite and I think about something that I'm grateful for in my life.
Hmm.
And then I take another bite and another bite and another bite. And before you know it, like half the donut is still there. But I'm so full of gratitude. It's not about the donut. The donut is just the thing that I love and I enjoy,
Right.
but it gets me into that feeling of the gratitude. And then I'm like, okay, what's next?
Right.
And then usually whatever's next, that get back to that humanness again. And our brains can really do us in. That's really what the angels have said. How many times do we this is a reoccurring thing. How many times do we have to tell you the same message, Michelle? I know I'm dumb. It doesn't go through. I get it.
Right.
Or lately it's, there's a lot that we're doing out here. Will you sit down and shut up? You're getting in our way.
Hmm.
Gee, that's a really great message, right? Everybody thinks, oh, angels talk to you all the time. I'm sure you're getting ah. Like, yeah, no, I don't get the ah.
Yeah.
I get the sit down and shut up. You're getting in our way.
Right.
And so oftentimes we get in our heads, and that's when we almost create more work for ourselves and we make it harder than it needs to be because we think it needs to be hard.
Hmm. Hmm. Now, I know you said you never experienced like the dark angels, but have they ever mentioned anything to you about like demons or demonic spirits?
Yeah. So what I have experienced is, I guess you could call it demons. So there are people who are working on a lot of things in life, and sometimes the things that they're working on, okay, I'll give you an example. Hitler, we're all kind of in agreement that he was kind of a bad guy, right? I mean, that's a thing that we all agree on. And I want to be careful in my words here. Hitler had a mission. His mission was to be Hitler.
Hmm.
There were things that happened in the world. Now, let's not get into that shouldn't have happened. Michelle, I'm not in charge. I wasn't even alive back then. I
Right.
assure you. Okay. And also, nobody asked me my opinion. So if it was up to me, we probably wouldn't have had a Hitler. That's probably why it's not up to me, right? We've got things that are happening in this world today, and there is a balance and a harmony that happens in the universe.
Hmm.
There are some people that are living out their mission and they have this, I guess you could call it demonic if you want to, if that's how you understand it, part to them. They are playing their part very well. And so, even in that, the angels are like, we're all on our journey. We're all doing the best with what we've been given. We're all playing our part. And so, I like to tell people, Mr. Rogers was one of my favorite, kids growing up. He always said, whenever there's a crisis, look for the helpers. There's always helpers, right? And so we can put our attention on the bad stuff, the dark stuff, the stuff or we can put our attention on what do we want instead? What do we want instead? I love Mother Teresa. When she was asked to lead an anti-war rally, she said, I will not.
Hmm.
Oh, absolutely, I will not do that during the Vietnam War. And people were like, what are you talking about? She said, I'm not going to energize anything it is anti-war. She said, the reason being because it's a negative energy. You're focusing on war.
Hmm. Hmm.
And she said, oh, but would you have me if you did a peace rally? She
Right.
said, that's what I want to be for,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so that's what I caution people. It can be really, really easy to get into that, looking at the dark side of things. And that's not for you. If you're listening to this podcast, that's not for you. Your job is to say, what are we for? How do we want to move forward together? What do we want instead? How can I put my power and my energy to that? Because that unconditional and love and freedom for all people.
Mhm.
That's what I want.
Yeah, yeah, that is most definitely true.
Yeah.
Can you describe what a session looks like with you? So, so if
Gosh.
someone comes in, what does an average session look like? What can someone expect when they book something with
So, when I first start working with people, I just ask a lot of questions. I am a master coach. I literally have, degrees and certifications and things in coaching. I have 20,000 hours of coaching. It seems like we're in a coaching session, and we are, but it's with angels. Uh, so I like to tell people you can come and you can say, I would like to have this experience, right? So I would like to talk to the angels. I would like, my dead mom to come in and give me a message. You can actually request that. You are not guaranteed that. Whatever is in your best and highest interest for that moment, because people will come and they're like, I want to just order up a vision here, and an angel will step forward and say, this actually happened last week in a session. We are not talking to this person because we've told them the same thing 3 times in a row. They will get nothing more, and you should not put them on your calendar until they can come back and report that they've done something. Now, that doesn't often happen, but I was very surprised. I was like,
right,
okay, how do I share this message with them, right?
right, right,
But then sometimes somebody comes and they think, hey, we're having a coaching session, and all of a sudden I'm like, dude, there is this like angry red triangle on your chest. Let me ask you some questions about this. And
right,
then they're dealing with something that they were not prepared to share in session that's literally going to be life-changing. And then sure enough, they go and they deal with that thing and come back the next week and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that that was, what I needed. Most of the time, the angels will come and have a message. And if that person is open to that, I can share that. And then, people can ask questions, usually for clarification, things like that. Almost every single time, they're either given an action step or they're asked to create one. That's what I really know about this idea of manifestation is that it's your action. I would say it's the push the save button. That when you can have a lovely session, but when you go do the thing that you've either been told to do or you created for yourself, that's when you communicate to the whole universe that you're serious. That's when the change starts to happen. Sometimes people come. I had a session a few weeks ago where somebody came and they said, "Hey, I want to talk through this issue." And their cat in their own household. I was like, "Can you please go get your cat?" And they're like, "What?" And I said, "Just go get your cat." And so the cat joined us on Zoom, and I said, "Your cat has some things to share with you about your health because cats have this." They're very energetic creatures in that they essentially are taking care of your energy. And when you're in anxiety and depression and various different things, your cat's on overload. And
mhm,
so his cat was on overload, and his cat was requesting my help to help this guy understand the connection that the two of them had. The cat was essentially getting sick because this guy was not doing the things he needed to do. So, what does a normal session look like me? I don't know what normal is. I can assure you that we're going to come in and your best and highest is going to happen, and you may or may not like it.
right, right. So it's just different for everybody.
Yeah.
Just depends on the case. Okay.
Yep.
So we could take some questions now. You up to taking some?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So let's take some questions for Michelle. Does anyone have any questions for Michelle? Yeah, some of them they type like they 94, so it might take them. But I think they'll get.
Well, I'll share this little story while everybody's typing. So, last week I had a long-term client come in and she knows I do energy work with animals, and she was asking questions about her cat. And so we were working with the cat, and I found out this is one of those where I was being given a lot of information, and I had to be very careful about sharing what information to her. Because of who she is as a person. And then I needed to help her to think through what her next action action steps were so that the cat could get what he needed. And so, long story short, she thought he was losing weight because he wasn't eating food. She had already taken him to the vet. There was something going on. I was seeing, that he had many teeth that were involved. And so I said, hey, why don't you call that vet? See about, maybe an antibiotic for that one tooth that you think.
Mhm.
Long story short, she takes him in. Next day she calls and she says, oh my gosh, Michelle, he's in surgery right now. He's having 7 teeth removed. It's all, infected. And the vet said, yeah, he probably wouldn't have lived past a few days. I already knew that. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. I'm so glad that she listened. And I'm glad that the vet listened, because we've had other times when people haven't before. So that always gets to be a little tricky of a spot. Like I never want to take away someone's free will and choice. I want to give them enough information in the way that they need it to make their own decision.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm glad they listened. That
Yeah.
helped out a lot.
Yeah.
All right, so the questions are they're in. All right, let's see what we got here. So, how can you be reached?
The easiest way is through our website, growby1.com, or you can email me, Michelle, at growby1.com. That's probably the easiest way at this point.
Okay, y'all. So if you can see it, it's on her screen. It's grow by one, GROW, then by BY, and then the number one.
Number one. Yep.
Grow by the number one. You said
Dot com.
dot.
Yep.
All right. What about like social media? Are you on social media?
Yep. Michelle Burkhard on Facebook, and then Grow by One for Facebook and Instagram. Also Michelle Burkhard on LinkedIn, if that's a professional space for you.
Okay. All right. Another question is, what angels do we call on for help with assistance with manifesting?
Um, y- any angel will do. That's literally their job. When we talk about manifesting and creating, that's what the angels are here to help us. But if you, I like to tell people, whatever you're trying to work on, there's an angel for everything. So anything that can be named, there's an angel that works with that. And so if there's a particular thing that you're working with, I would call on them. I do like to work with the angel of loving relationships anytime I'm dealing with a relationship, or the angel of process if I'm dealing with a system. The angel of abundance obviously is really great for any sort of abundance.
Okay. So I think this person must have got up here late because I remember you answering this, but they asked, do the angels speak of heaven or hell?
They're really focused a lot more on what's happening here on Earth. I know, ironically, we've been taught to think that angels are all about heaven. Not really, because their job is to assist us here. So they're very interested in what's going on here. So they don't really talk about heaven or hell. They're more like, what did you do today? Tell me all the wonderful things.
Mhm. Okay. Another question. How can I talk to my angels, guardian angels or guardian angels?
Just talk. So sometimes, I've heard people, they say, I'm in the car and I just kind of talk. I don't know what I'm talking to. That's usually where the angels are present with you. Any place that you're kind of out of your head is a great way. We say that we're praying, we say that we're, talking to something else. It's all the same thing, honestly. The most spiritual places I have are the shower, my walking trails at the state park, being in my car, because those are the places where I'm out of my head. Also, I have had wonderful, beautiful experiences in the grocery store because I'm thinking about groceries and not about the problems of the day. So any place that you feel like you are thinking in a way that is not about solving a problem, you're just kind of ruminating or contemplating on something, that's a beautiful place to just ask for help.
Okay. I think you already answered this one too, but I'll read it. Are the angels for every situation, emotions, and guidance?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So I should say I do have three. I often forget that I have these. I've done three angel courses in the past because my community wanted me to kind of talk about this, and so there's one angel course that we did that's working with angel energy. So it talks about the 22 angels you have that are always in your energetic sphere all the time.
Mhm.
So we all have the 22 plus whatever guides and guardians that are there. So we've got that. And then we did another one that is emotional management with archangels. So the archangels, some people have this common misconception that an archangel is too busy or important to work with you. That is BS. They are there, and oftentimes, especially for the emotional stuff that we're going through. And then we also did one that's called Playground of the Mind, which is taking the archangels and understanding how to um, how to use your thinking, your rational thinking and creativity with the archangels together. So partnering the logical and the woo-woo. So we do have those on our website, but if you want more info about that, just email me.
All right. Another question, they said, how do we know so basically, how do they know when angels are around? How could you be able to determine if an angel is around you?
Yeah, so first of all, they're around all the time. So you don't even have to determine it, they just are. The second thing is, so if you look around your space right now at all of the empty space, I need you to understand there is not one single empty space in that empty space. It's full completely of energy and angels and guides and guardians that are there. Okay. Don't let it freak you out. It's all good. But when there's weird stuff that happens, right? So all the weird stuff that we tend to think of, when you have a deja vu moment, usually that's like, a message that's coming forth. I love actually when we're doing end of life sessions with people, we have them set up with their loved ones a symbol I see that you have a little cardinal over there in your
Yeah.
pot.
Mhm.
That's often, cardinal butterfly. Those are very common symbols of people that are loved ones that are showing up.
Yeah.
And so there's lots of different symbols of spiritual things that are happening. I say whenever something has your attention that you say is weird, that's usually an angel saying, pay attention.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Now, this is a popular question because I believe someone asked this a few times already, but I think they're coming on late too. Does an do angels talk about heaven or hell? Have
Yep.
they talked
Yep.
about heaven or hell?
Yeah.
Let's see. So I think they're wanting to know, but again, I know you talked about that earlier about the heaven and hell. Is that real? Can you give them another brief
Yeah.
rundown on the whole
So
thing?
angels are more interested in this life and working with us as partners. Um, the systems that we have kind of created as humans to understand the afterlife, I'm not saying they're wrong, it's just incomplete. And so, like, for example, if you talk about hell, you have to talk about heaven. You got to have them both, right? Because you got to have a very balanced picture. I also, give that as a coaching thing to people. So if you're going to think about the bad stuff all the time, that's fine. Do that, but also think about the good. Give it its equal weight, right? So that way, at least your subconscious brain has a choice about the matter. If you're only thinking about the bad stuff, you don't really have a choice. And so, if you want to continue to keep that kind of thinking, it's not going to harm you in any way. Um, that's where some of this gets really hard because what's conditioned, right? So I told you I grew up in a very religious home. Heaven and hell were present with me in every moment. The God of my youth had an anger management problem, and Michelle was always wrong.
Mm.
Okay, so that was a lot to get over as a kid. Jesus and I are like this, literally. So we have conversations all the time. It's not uncommon for me to be sitting here doing work and have Jesus sitting next to me, and we're just talking about what's going on. So like the personhood, the energy of Jesus is very, very important to me. But it's not it's not in a way that I feel like I have to go and proselytize the whole earth because Jesus is important to me, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. So it's this fine line of I'm fine with these beliefs and value systems that we have
Mm-hmm.
as long as it's bringing unconditional love and freedom and doing the best and highest good for all involved.
Okay. All right. So we'll take three more, about three more questions here. All right. So the next question is, let's see. Someone is asking, let me, how how many, does she know how many angels we are assigned to when we are born? Is there specific numbers of angels we get when we are born? Also, why can't angels protect all innocent children from harm?
Okay, so those are two different questions. Number one, yes, we're all given angels that are assigned to us. So there's the 22 that I've already talked about that are in your energy field. We also have guides that are given to us. The guides are often people that have been important in our lineage that have passed on. We are also given, some people like to call it the guardian angel. It's kind of the one that's just with you. Um, and then some of us are given more, just because we're dumb and we need more. That's how I look at it for myself. But then this idea of why can't they protect innocent children? The assumption is that they're not. So I will share a little bit of my story. When I was very young, 2, 3, 4 years old, my grandpa did, some sexual abuse, and it happened quite frequently without anybody else knowing it. When I did my life review, and that was one of the things that as he was, I was hearing his thoughts and I was feeling his feelings. During those times, he was flashing back onto things that happened to him as a child.
Mhm.
And there were moments when he had these thoughts of, no, this is enough. I'm not going any further. So in that moment, I got that insight of I was being protected, but it's easy to look at what happened and say I wasn't. So again, we're all on our journey. We're all doing the best we can with what we have and what we know. Some people don't have a lot, some people don't know a lot. And my grandpa did the best that he could, and I know he wishes that he knew what he knows now. And actually, he and I have a really good relationship. And so he honestly, my relationship with my grandpa now, he comes and tells me when I'm going to swear here, so get right with it. But he comes and he always says, "No, they're full of shit. Don't listen to them." Like he's the first one to tell me. I'm like, "Well, thank you so much."
Right, right.
And so, in that moment it's easy as a human to say this shouldn't happen. As a preschool kindergarten teacher,
Hmm.
right there with you. And there's a lot more happening that we don't see. And so we are being protected. Even when a child loses their life, um, that child had a purpose, had a reason. I've unfortunately lost 5 children in this lifetime. I have 3 living children, and I've lost 5 children at various different ages. Every single one of them had a purpose and had a reason for being here. And I've had beautiful times with them in recent years where they've all come together and kind of met with me and given me kind of the reasoning behind why they were here for such a short time and what they're doing now. And so that's a beautiful thing that we didn't get a chance to talk about. But for me, one of my children that was with me the shortest amount of time said, "My sole role for being your son was to feel unconditional love for the first time in my spiritual development. That's it.
Hmm.
And you were it." And so once he got that fulfilled, he didn't need to stay here longer. And so for us as humans, that's not what we want to hear.
Right.
We don't want a child. No one should have to lose a child first. Um, and yet there's purpose to it.
Okay. Another question, instead of calling on different angels, why not just call on the Most High?
Absolutely. Just do it. You know what? I'm good with that. And here's the reason why. when I put together the courses and when I do the sessions and even when I'm teaching in my logical place, like there's this, how do I say this? Human brains like a certain amount of complexity. They think complexity and structure and research and data and evidence and all of these things somehow gives the message, that credibility.
Hmm.
We don't need all that. I teach coaches how to be really effective and efficient. We take them through a 3-month process. We add in a ton of stuff in there. And at the very end, I say, it hasn't this been wonderful? This has been great. And yes, it's been important. But you only need to do 3 things. You need to create safe space, come from a place of service, and love that person. That's all I'm asking you to do. And so I love that question. Why can't we just go straight to the Most High?
Hmm.
Do it. Cut out all the middlemen. The
Right.
angels are laughing. They're like, yes, she's got it. I'm assuming it's a she. It might be a he.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
this shit. Yeah, this shit. All right. Another question, the angel of imagination, how can an angel help us?
So, this is where I think children are beautiful teachers. Children up until the age of 7, their conscious brain is not formed yet, so they have this wide open space to them. So when you see like a 2 or 3 year old and they're using their little toy horse, they're not using a toy horse. I hope you understand this. That is a real horse. Okay, that's a real horse. Okay, so they can manifest anything in their life like that. And then what do? We teach them how to be safe, successful, and secure in this lifetime. And then we send them to school and we train them out of all of this creativity and this imagination. So the angel of imagination is literally not just trying to get you to connected to being a child, but trying to get you back into that place where anything is possible. And so there are some people who just kind of have that's kind of how they're created. Other people I say are very down to earth people. They're here to like literally make sure that the earth is running. So they're a little less connected to their imagination. But if you can expose yourself to travel, study, reading books, talking to people that are different than you will get inspired by the angel of imagination. And when those ideas come, just sit with them. Einstein, I think most people think he was a genius. He'd argue with that. He came up with his theory of relativity. So he essentially went to a park, and in the park, there was a river, there's a couple banks, there's a bridge, there's a place where a train went by every day for 12 years. But he went in a different place. So on this bank, or now I'm going to be in the river in the rowboat, now I'm going to be on the bridge, now I'm going to be on the train. Every day for 12 years, he went and he contemplated.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, one day, it came to him the theory of relativity that this is the same park. However, where you are in relation to everything else
Mhm.
gives you your experience. Different seasons, different time of the day, right? So this is something that we know now, but back then that was a really big idea. So he will tell you, I did not come up with the theory of relativity. I just stayed in the question much longer than other people. 12 years of sitting and thinking about this problem. That doesn't make me a genius. It makes me hard to get to the answer, is what he said. And so oftentimes there are things that we are contemplating in life the same way. We're here in the United States. Our culture is like, I'm going to go to the drive-thru and get my thing. I'm going to go to the store. It's just going to be there. I'm going to order something on Amazon. It's going to come tomorrow, right? That's just not how things work. So there are some things, if there's a problem, if there's a thing that you keep going back to over and over again, chances are you're already working with the angel of imagination and you're just not aware that you are.
Okay. All right. Now, for real, for real, for real. We got three more questions. Are you good?
Okay.
We want to stop it right here.
Okay.
Because I know we've been rolling. Okay, these are the last three. All right. And someone wants to know, is there a way that you can get the name of your guardian angel?
Yeah, you can ask for it. You can ask the angels for anything. So ask for it and then be awake, aware, and alert.
Okay.
So I can't tell you that if you ask for it, the name's just going to come to you, although it might. But if you have a name that comes to you repetitively, even if it's the most human of names, but all of a sudden you're hearing it all over the place, that's your answer.
All right. And another question here. How do we know which angel is around us? And are they going the good? Are they the good angel or bad angel? How do we know
So
the difference?
so let's assume that all the angels are there for your best and highest good because they are. Okay. Now, some people are getting messages, and some of those messages might seem negative. They're not negative. For example, I'll give you years ago, I unfortunately went through an abusive relationship with my former husband. He has a lot of things that he's learning in this lifetime. He's got some mental health diagnoses that he's working on. We wish him well, seriously. I wish him all the best. But I had to come to the understanding of just because I still love this man does not mean that myself and my children need to be in his presence. And so that was very, very hard. I was getting a lot of messages, and I didn't like it because I wanted to stay married. I did not have be a divorced single mom on my bingo card for this lifetime. Okay. I mean, clearly I did. I just didn't know I did. During that time, I was getting a lot of messages around it's time to leave. It's time to divorce. You have to stand up for yourself. You have to say this thing. I see now that it was all for my best and highest good. I did not want, especially in my religious kind of connotation, I was like, divorce is not good.
Hmm.
Divorce is not bad. It's bad, right?
Right.
And so, just assume that all the angels are there for your best and highest good. Be open. If there's anything that scares you, take a breath. Please take a breath. Don't let your brain convince you that you need to go down that path. Take a breath and say, listen, this is what I said in the very beginning when I was getting used to the boundaries. I said, I have free will and choice. I don't like what's happening right now. You either show me why what's happening right now is good for me and others, or you need to stop doing what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
Every time I was given the message. Now, there's been a thing we're not going to talk about that's been happening the last few months that I've been saying that the thing stops. And I'm like, okay, I know it's not that it's a bad thing. It's the message around that thing is not ready to get to me, or I'm not ready for the message. So when I say that and I say, you have to tell me how to use this for good, or you need to leave. I'm not ready for the message yet. I know that. It'll come through when I'm ready. But that doesn't mean that it's a bad message. So you have free will and choice. If there's anything that you're scared about, take a breath. And I want you to use your voice and say, if you can't tell me how to use this for good, you must flee from me, and it will go.
Okay. All right. Someone is asking, what is the difference between a archangel and just a normal angel or other angels?
So archangels tend to be more well known. They have experiences oftentimes in literature over time where people have had, the Bible talks a lot about archangels. And so, many people don't realize that there's Archangel Metatron was actually Ezekiel in the Bible. So he was an actual human. That's an archangel, one of the few. And so that's what I look at. Archangels in the hierarchy, if you would. They have some people like to call them the boss angels, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Whereas the 22 angels that you have that are in your energetic field all the time, they're the get it done angels.
Mm.
So an archangel, it doesn't mean that they can't come and help you. Oftentimes, Raphael is actually my partner archangel. He's the angel of healing. And so there's a lot of times when I'm working on something or working with a client that when we're doing deeper work, he's when I call on, please come and help. But I don't typically call on the other archangels because I don't have that kind of a relationship with them. But the other 22 angels, they're here every day. I'm like living and breathing with them. So it's really just in how we like to label and categorize things.
Okay. And have they ever showed you anything about, because I don't believe I asked you about it. Have they ever showed you anything about like reincarnation or, and if we do, like the amount of time that it takes for us to reincarnate? Have they shared any of that information with you?
Yeah, and it's very hard to explain,
Oh,
to be honest.
okay. All
There's
right.
not an easy way to explain it. That might be another podcast. We'll have to do that someday.
Okay.
But yeah, it's so one thing, the takeaway that I want people to understand, everything that you're going through your life right now is highly purposeful, not just for this moment, not just for your lifetime, but for your whole soul development. And you have like, I don't want to scare anybody with this. This is more of a humbling kind of thing. What you're doing now has so many connections to so many other people all across the universe. What you say and do right now has a ripple effect that goes to the edge of the universe and back.
Hmm.
You are so powerful and you don't even know it. And so when you work on things like prayer and fasting and meditation and gratitude and opening up yourself to receive what's coming to you from the future, those are spiritual practices to clean you out, tune you in, that literally put you in a positive, if you want to look at it, place where you can now take that power that you already have and remember that you have it and now speak for what you want. And then the universe just kind of arranges itself around you. When we get into the place where we're in our head and we're letting our emotions run us and we're not doing those spiritual practices, we're just heavy. And it's hard for the universe it's like, hey, we're waiting for clarity from you. There's
Hmm.
a flaw in the system. Have you noticed it? If you're waiting on clarity from me, you probably should fix that system, right? But in essence, we are powerful. The angels want to know from us, what do you want? They can't help you if you don't know what you want. And so if you can spend some space there and getting cleaned out and tuned in, it's not about the practice. The practice just helps you to get cleaned out and tuned in and say, yeah, this is what I want. This is how I want to partner. I always talk about, when I grew up, I was taught in the church, his will, right? Not my will, his will.
Hmm.
Now it's our will.
Right.
Granted, I am the speck in the whole thing, but it's still our will because I have to partner with him.
Hmm.
And so it's hard when you say like we're destiny light because clearly we have this choose your own adventure, but I have choice. And so I need to step up and into my power and make the choice of where I want to go next. And then the universe says, ah, yes, Michelle is finally on board with us. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Now, I want to make sure that I have your website again because I'm going to type it in the chat. So it is growby1.com. Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
All right. So I'm putting Michelle's website in the chat because someone asked for it again. And we're going to let her go because we have been holding her hostage. So we're going to let her
And
go.
I always tell people this, if you're more of a logical thinker, we talk sometimes about angels, but I do have a podcast called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. It's a audio only. It's meant to like throw on, usually to about 10, maybe 12 minutes, every day. That's it. It's like the thought for the day, gets you thinking and reflecting. And if you're interested in these topics, but you're not real sure how to make them work in a more logical kind of universe, that might be a good place to start. Throw it on as you're riding off to work and see what happens.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, thank you for coming on. You gave us a lot of knowledge, gave us a lot of good information here, learned a lot of stuff about the
My
angels
pleasure. It
as
was fun.
well.
Great questions too. Thank you.
Oh yeah, because they loaded up with the questions tonight, but I
I
know
love it.
people love hearing about the angels. But
Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate you coming
Thank you.
and shedding some light on this. Anyone that's watching this, if you want to watch these interviews live with special guests like Michelle, follow the Woke Prophet on kick.com and you will be able to watch these interviews live. Thanks again, Michelle.
My
Appreciate you.
pleasure. Thanks. Have a good evening.
All right, you too.